where we would like to discuss on the implementation of the Resolution Framework 2.0. As we all know, consequent to the microfinance and the banking sector's discussion with RBI on relief to borrowers because of the second wave of COVID, RBI has come out with the Resolution Framework 2.0. It has come out with two circulars, one for individuals and small businesses, and the second one for micro enterprises. So, as we all know, Reserve Bank of India is a very professional and efficient organization, because I have also started my career there. But still, whatever communication Reserve Bank shares with us, we have to dive deep into that to really get to know the finer aspects. Like all South Indians know about how to cook banana flour, but to open that and to actually get to the flour, it is very difficult. So RBI circulars are also like that. So we thought that we will have this discussion. We will have a lead presentation by Mr. Govindarajan, and discussants. We have our leading lights of the microfinance sector, Sadaf Saeed from microfinance, VN Salimat ji from IDF, and Mr. Bhatt, SS Bhatt from FWWB, and we all know that all of them have been ex-bankers and have closely interpreted and implemented various facts of banking related aspects. So without taking much of your time, I request Mr. Govindarajan to start with his presentation, and after that we will have interventions from our discussants, and then we can have an open session where the questions and queries can be raised and our panel can answer them. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Govindarajan, now.
Good afternoon, Mr. Satish. So I have started a presentation with a small write-up on this current situation, which has necessitated RBI to come down with Resolution Framework 2.0. Now, a number of states, including from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, have put localized lockdowns. And so where do I lend, or where do I recover my money? That is the question today for the industry. So the number of states have announced lockdowns, and the earliest lockdown will be lifted by 24th of May by Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. And here and now we have difficulties. Where do I lend my money, or where do I recover my money? The collections have dropped for MFIs between 60 to 70%, or even lesser in few cases. And even if I want to disburse my loan, how do I do it? My staff will be at risk to contact the customers for documentation, or for even acquiring new customers. So, and there will be issues regarding classification of repayment by credit bureaus. If they classify it as overdue, what do I do? How do I lend to my customer? So safe side is I have to lend to my customers who are in earlier cycles rather than acquiring new customers. That is what is happening today. But then that activity also has come down. And my banks also are not considering loans to companies because they need the audited financial statements for the last financial year. And audited financial statements, the auditors will be under difficulty under the present circumstances to do the audit in time. So there are a lot of issues. Whether those things have been addressed by Resolution Framework 1.0 or 1.0 and 2.0 now, we'll have a look now. We can go to the next slide. So I have covered almost all the points which are spelled out by the RBI. Why the Resolution Framework 2.0 has been done? So RBI said mainly due to second wave of COVID-19, we have done this. And a lot of containment measures, this will go into affect the economic recovery. And also the measures announced are well in line with the resolution framework 1.0. So there's not much of a change. Few changes are there, which I have covered in one of my slides. What is the difference between these two? Now, resolution framework 2.0 has three parts. Part A, which says resolution of advances for individuals and small borrowers. Part B says more about working capital for those borrowers. And part C, how we are going to report it. The reporting is similar in line with the reporting under 1.2. Now, part A for the first point is the requirement of individuals and smaller borrowers, how it has to be, resolution has to be invoked. So resolution says it has to be mainly for personal loans, and we cannot consider staff loans or any other personal loans to our staff at all. And it has to be for business purposes, and not more than rupees 25 crores should have been given. And next aspect is small businesses are covered, which includes retail and wholesale. MSME is not covered under this. MSME, there is a separate circular, as Mr. Satish has put it, that is coming under separate slide. And this says it should not have been a stressed asset as per the definition of Annex 2 of Resolution Framework 1. Now, they should not have availed resolution under any resolution under Resolution Framework 1. But there is an exemption under Clause 22. Clause 22 says even if they have availed exemption under Resolution Framework 1, or they have availed moratorium under Resolution Framework 1, they can still be considered for the leftover period. That means if I considered 6 months moratorium in the earlier one and 3 months restructuring, so 9 months have gone. So totally 24 months I can consider under this. 24 minus 9, 15 months I can give a convergence under the convergence of loans. There is a clause under that I can still consider restructuring for these borrowers. And these assets will be continued to be classified as standard asset, covered under the erstwhile prudential norms guidelines of standard assets 2019. How do I do the invocation of resolution process? So I have to put in place a board policy. So board approved policy last time also we have put up. So currently also we have to put in place board approved policy, but the time frame is only 4 weeks. So 5th May we have got this circular from RBI. So hopefully by 2nd June it may end. So within 4 weeks we have to put in place a board approved policy. And the board approved policy has to spell out, it has to be only for on account of COVID stresses. It's not for any other reason we can have a policy. And the second one is the borrower's eligibility has to be clearly spelled out, and what are the due diligence consideration, what KYC has to be done, and whether it has to be audio, account, all those classes has to be done. And there has to be a grievance redressal of borrowers has to be there, and any time they want to contact the company for their whether that revocation has been, invocation has been considered, they have to be clear. And the policy has to be publicized as well as and put it in a website of the company. And how do I do the documentation and other things? So there has to be an agreement between the lender and the borrower and the company. And the application, when received, it has to be disposed of within a period of 30 days. We cannot keep it pending forever. So within 30 days, I have to tell yes or no to the borrower. And if what RBI felt, if I have a template which will quickly calculate and decide the eligibility of the borrower, it will be helpful. So let us create a template. Whenever the borrower approaches, use the template and quickly decide what to do with the borrower's request and dispose of the case. And the invocation has to be, last date will be 30th September 2021. And we have to do it within 90 days. And the permitted features are there. It says you can consider either a reschedulement of payment, or you can even interest accrued of the borrower, you can add it. And you can give fresh WC, working capital sanctions, or you can give further moratorium. All this can be done. But if they come for compromise settlement, it's not allowed. So a moratorium has to be maximum period of 2 years. And in one place we have mentioned that if they have already availed some moratorium earlier, the difference between 2 years and the moratorium availed earlier can be now considered. the maximum total period has to be within 2 years, maximum 2 years. Next portion deals with the resolution, which has to be finalized within 90 days. And deemed implementation only if conditions of para 10 of 1.0 are met. See, para 10 of 1.0 says about the borrower should not be a audio account. The company should have recorded in its books of account. Some 3 conditions are there. If that is all met, that will be a deemed implementation. Eligibility, as we already told, as per RBI circular dated 5th May, and also the board approved policy in place. And we can consider irrespective of what other lender is doing. We need not wait for them. I can consider for my borrower. I need not wait for how the other borrower, other lender to the same borrower considers. And last date for invocation is 30th September. We'll go to part B. Oh, sorry. There is asset classification provisioning in part A also. So we can continue to classify the same as a standard asset. And though we are now restructuring, it need not be a substandard or loss asset. It can be still a standard asset. And suppose I consider get my application from them. That is called invocation. And when I implement that, it may take time, 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months max. In that case, still I can continue to call it as a standard asset. Suppose I am not considering the invocation subsequently, it will go back to the old stage wherein they have defaulted, then that classification will come. And I can still consider additional finance before implementation. And the additional finance also will be considered as a standard till implementation. If suppose again I am not considering the additional finance under this umbrella, it has to go back to the actual performance. Actual performance means they have applied, I have not considered in 1 month or 2 months. During that period, whether the performance is good. If performance is good, then I can still continue to classify as per that. If performance is bad, I have to go back and say that it's a substandard asset. I cannot call it as a standard asset. Then if they have other facilities with the company and those facilities are bad, then still I have to consider it as a substandard asset. That's what it says, whichever resource you have to consider. So part B we can use. Part B deals with working capital limits. So borrowers who are now taken implementation plan under 1.0, they can come back to us. They can ask us based on his existing drawing power. They can show their existing drawing power and ask me to enhance the limits. Or they can ask us to reduction of margin. Suppose I consider 20% margin, I can now reduce 0 or 5 or 10, whatever it is. I can reduce the margin and without treating it as restructuring. And this all has to be done before 30th September 2021. Suppose I am not considering, even if I am considering, I have to go back after 31st March, on the date of 31st March, I have to go back to the old limit. Suppose I considered only 10 crore limit at 20% margin, and later on I have made it 15 crore limit with 5% margin. I cannot continue that 15 crore and 5 margin forever. On 31st March 22, I have to say that it will go back to your old limit of 10 crore and 20% margin you have to start giving it. That is what the circular says. And it has to be due to economic fallout of COVID-19 only, not any other cause. And there has to be again a board policy to implement, board approved policy. Now part C is similar to earlier 1.0, the disclosure requirement. Here it says companies which are coming under requirement of quarterly financial statements, listed companies, or some companies which are now bound as quarterly, they have to publish their results or formats. Then it has to contain this A, B, C, D, E, F. This is already there in 1.0 also. Now it is again bit included in 2.0, and I have to publish along with the other results this statement in addition to that. And resolution under part A also I have to continue to disclose the old ones, and number of borrower accounts as per class 22 part B, where we have considered working capital limit and other things. Again, that has to be disclosed. In case of companies which are not coming under quarterly, they can do annual. My company is not listed, so I need not disclose. So I will do only annual financial statement. I will disclose only every year. So that is very clear. Resolution framework for MSMEs, as Mr. Satish put it, there is another circular same dated 5th May. That is addressing only MSME borrowers. But it is almost similar. All the conditions are almost similar, excepting 3 or 4, which is additional. So I will cover this additional also first. Borrower should have been classified as a MSME enterprise as per the Act. Then borrower should have been registered under GST, or if it is not registered, whether he is exempted. If it is exempted, again it is covered. And the aggregate exposure of him to all other lending institutions should not be more than 25 crores. And account should have been classified as standard asset as of March 31st, 2021. And it should not have been restructured earlier. Okay. Now, how do I do? Then additional requirement is I have to register under Udyam registration portal. That is another requirement which has to be done before this framework is done. And 10% of the residual debt has to be a provision made, and board approved policy as usual has to be there. And reviewing the working capital margin, etc., without treating it restructuring as we discussed earlier, can also be considered for MSMEs. So next slide. Okay. So I have here covered resolution framework 1.0 and 2.0. What is the key differences, whichever I have found out. So the moratorium under 1.0 was 6 months. Blanket moratorium was given last time. Now this time, so far RBI is not considered because it's too early. So no blanket moratorium. If overdues are not more than 30 days, restructuring like earlier is permitted. Outstanding debt, the amount has to be reckoned as of 1st March 2020, whereas in 2.0 it is 31st March 2021. Invocation has to be done, should have been done in the earlier one on or before 31st December 2020. Now we have to do it before on or before 30th September 2021. And maximum period was 2 years in both cases. In the earlier period, 2 years. In the present period, if in the earlier period only some you are considered moratorium or restructuring, that portion of period, that period months has to be reduced from these 2 years. So totally it should not exceed more than 2 years. Implementation has to be done in 1.0 within 180 days. Here it is 90 days from invocation. Provisioning is 10% of restructured debt on signing ICA or 20% in other cases like earlier. But here half of the provisions in 2.0 can be written back if the borrower pays 20% of your restructured debt. Then you can recognize half of the provisioning as income. And remaining off after he pays another 10%. Only 30% if he pays, you can consider the entire 100% provisioning. You can write back as in your income. So these are the major differences I found. Then I covered a few. Now we'll have some practical difficulties or hassles in implementing. Now the implementation can be done if they come out with their application and do it. But whether they will have continuous cash flows after the lockdown is lifted, or whether they will continue to earn money in future and stick to the loan repayment schedule, we are not clear today. So we may be reluctant to do that. On case to case, we have to consider. And where we are confident this cash flows will going to support us, we can consider that. That's what my viewpoint is. And additional provisioning. So bigger MFIs, they are governed by NDAS 109 and all, wherein they have to make extra provisioning. It is called, I think, ACL or ELC. Extra provisioning has to be done. So that will hit their again bottom line during the current period. And previous 1.0 had good intentions and it has been done to a large extent. There are some lacunas, but we hope that 2.0 doesn't have that problems. So banks will, let us hope banks will consider our cases, and we will also consider our borrowers' cases fruitfully and come out of these problems. Next one. So positives, the regulator has acted in very quick time to address the problems of the borrowers. SFBs are encouraged to lend to MFIs, smaller MFIs, and categorization will be under priority sector lending norms. So I request the small finance banks in this forum to consider this positively. and loan at repo rates to banks for lending at a very attractive rate. If repo rate is very less as it is. So if the banks lend it to companies, so the benefit will be get passed on to our ultimate borrowers also. Today we are charging our borrowers instead of earlier 26%, 21.4% or so. So unless the our borrowing rates come down, we will not be able to pass on our meet our fixed obligations. And a special long-term repo operation of 10,000 crores SFPs also have been given. These are I felt as positives. So with this small presentation, I end my. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Govindarajan. I think in a few slides you have covered the main features of the resolution framework. Now, from the discussants, I request comments. First, I would like to call upon Mr. Sadaf Saeed from Muthoot to make his comments.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Satish, for organizing this. I have a small presentation to much of it. Mr. Govindarajan has very comprehensively covered everything. So I think some of it will sound repetitive, but definitely from a point of view of a layman's understanding, I've just kind of summarized the circulars and all of the key points. So just wanted to kind of take you through. So the resolution framework is basically provided from a point of view of giving a relief. See, one thing that we have to understand, the current situation is very different than what we faced last year. Last year, we had a moratorium and there is an asset standstill. So any account which was overdue was recognized as their status as of 29 February 2020. And it continued for 6 months till the moratorium was there. And then after that, only it became subsequently, if it flowed, it reached an NPA. So there was a 9-month period in which some sort of collection resolution could be provided. But the current circumstances are very different, where there is no asset standstill. So once the account becomes overdue, even during the lockdown, it continues to slip into the higher buckets and it will reach into an NPA bucket within 90 days. So from that perspective, the whole framework is very, very useful in terms of providing some sort of a relief and basically to manage non-performing asset and also to give time to the customer to kind of revive business and ensure, because the lockdown obviously will prevent, and the current circumstances are also very different because this time Corona has reached rural areas and it's much more deeper and much more wider. The second wave, it is impacting our employees, our customer. Last time it was more of an urban phenomena and it was more in urban pockets like Mumbai, Delhi and other places. But now this is reaching in very, very deep rural places. So definitely this resolution framework would be helpful. Obviously it provides some liquidity comfort as in their obligations are delayed, and it gives them opportunity to kind of repay. Basically, with respect to resolution framework, there are 3 circulars that RBI has come with. The first circular was in August 6th, which is the resolution 1, which Mr. Govindarajan also alluded to. Subsequently, there were FAQs which were issued by RBI on in the month of December 12, 2020. And finally, the latest one, which we are all discussing here, is the resolution framework 2.0, which was issued in May 5. Here I may differ a little bit because in the presentation we saw there were elements of resolution 1 which were carried into the resolution 2. Maybe my understanding, and this is something which is evolving, so nobody has a very clear understanding of this, and we are all trying to kind of understand, and maybe even the people who are involved there I would advise them to take kind of the discussion forward with the CA and whosoever is auditing their firm to finalize on this. But in my opinion, the resolution 2.0 supersedes resolution 1, And there are definitely elements which can go into, but certain things like I think Mr. Govindarajan highlighted in the difference that the account can only be taken into resolution if it is not more than 30 DPD due. That was there definitely in the resolution 1.0, but in my opinion, it is not there in resolution 2.0 as specifically as mentioned. But if you read the two in conjunction, maybe that may apply. So we need clarity on that. My assumption is this is not applicable, but definitely all these three circulars, we may need to refer to understand the whole idea behind it and letter and spirit. Eligibility, as Mr. Govindarajan also very clearly specified, is that it should be a credit facility, and borrower should be classified as a standard asset as of 31st March 2021. So only those loans which are standard asset, which are not an NPA, are eligible for restructuring. The accounts which were restructured under the previous resolution 1.0 are not eligible for restructuring, and that is there. And any direct farm credit that is also not eligible for restructuring. So all the other loans that we are giving, which classify into the individual loans, will be eligible for restructuring, provided they are less than 25 crores of exposure per borrower. And when we are looking at invocation, the invocation, as Mr. Govindarajan correctly said, we can invoke it up till 30th September. And we have 90 days to implement that after invocation also. But it all depends upon like the definition, which I said, that if it is more than 30 days DPD due, then you can't do it. So you might have to invoke it earlier. So, but my understanding is that you have time till September 30th. Permitted features, rescheduling of payment, conversion of interest, and granting of moratorium, etc., based on assessment of the individual loan account. The overall cap is maximum 2 years. So, for example, if the loan is say 3 months left in a say 6 months left in a loan, that 6 month plus the moratorium until the end of the tenure should be 2 years. That is the understanding that I have from the resolution framework, not beyond 2 years subsequent to that. Definitely we need to have a board approved policy, and the time frame that for that which has been fixed by RBI is 4 weeks from the day this announcement was made. So we need to have a board approved policy, and the board approved policy should specify that we are only restructuring COVID affected customer. And how do you define that which customer are COVID affected? That has to be there in that policy. So the eligible borrowers will come from that policy then only. And this policy has to be sufficiently publicized. It has to be also put on the website of the individual institution. And due diligence should be followed to assess that the borrower is genuinely affected because of COVID. The provision norms, there are 10% provision on the restructured pool. So whatever, like for example, if you have an overdue interest plus the loans and plus any sort of accrued interest that has been put together, on the total amount which has been restructured, 10% has to be provided. And as Mr. Govindarajan correctly said, for the organization which are following India IS, the ECL will apply definitely. And in my opinion, it'll be higher of the two, the additional provision or ECL, whichever is higher. So that needs to be taken into consideration. But definitely, from a status of the asset, any asset which has been restructured would qualify as a standard asset. It will not come into a substandard asset or a stage 3 asset. 50% of the provision can be kind of written back, as in can be waived if 20% collection from that account has happened and additional 10% collection has happened, then subsequently balance of the provision can also be written back. And from a disclosure point of view, Mr. Govindarajan has explained how it has to be disclosed. The important point that I would like to mention is that we have to make sure in the credit reporting, the credit bureau reporting, the institution has to specifically mention that this is restructured due to COVID-19. So when the data is getting uploaded to the credit bureau, restructure account has to be specifically highlighted that restructured due to COVID-19. So this is something additional that this is all that I wanted to kind of share. But overall, the point is that this situation is slightly different than what we faced last time. Last time we had the 6-month moratorium and an asset standstill. This time around, we don't have an asset standstill. And this time around, the COVID wave is much more deeper. It has reached rural areas, which is affecting our borrowers as well as affecting our employees. So definitely restructuring is a very, very good tool which can help us to avoid additional provisions. But yes, I'm happy to hear any suggestion that is there, and I would advise everyone to get a board approved policy in place and discuss with your auditors specific audit. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadaf. I think whatever the presentation Mr. Govindarajan has made, your points and your presentation also made the things more clearer for our participant. And of course, if there are some issues and questions, we can still discuss. Now I request Salimat ji for his comments and his intervention.
Yeah, I thank Mr. Govindarajan as well as Sadaf for making a very nice presentation. They have gone to the depth and explained. Now, this part explains what the NBFCs have to pass on to their borrowers. One of the challenge that we face is now there are different locational issues. It is not uniform. Last time, one blanket resolution, one blanket just postponing the installments by 6 months. It was simple. Now, those of the MFIs who have more exposures to different states, so each state might differ, and within the state there could be difference. So, really extending these kinds of things becomes a challenge. That is one part. Second is that template creation that Sadhan can work with some of the experts and create one suggested or a module which the microfinance institution can do that. Again, the timelines say it has to be done before September or so. So getting agreements from the written agreement from the borrower becomes a challenge. Last time it was extended even without any written agreement. This time, last time it may be there, but it was not very strictly followed. Whereas in this case, if we were to have a written agreement and later on it has to be audited, followed up and all that, getting all of them is again difficult because mobility is not very easy, and forcing our employees to go and do it, which will be an additional workload and it will be quite challenging. So these are the two challenges. And another important aspect is now that what we have explained, what has been explained in this is what we will pass it on to the borrower. But how the banks will view our borrower, whether the same restructuring, same moratorium. Last time they had extended the moratorium twice, so 6 months relief we could get. Now, what will happen to our borrower? Obviously, under SME, he says these are all less than 25 crores, and obviously we have more than 25 crores, and there is some elaborate procedure for bigger loan, like it is to be treated like a consortium, and then making all of these bankers to come together, agree on that consortium. It is very complicated. Educating on these aspects to the banker, making them to implement, these are the challenges. So we have to really debate on that and present to RBI what are the difficulties. We should get some kind of.
So Salimat ji, as a CEO of an NBFC MFI, what are the implementation and operational problems you foresee, apart
Yeah.
from the couple of things which you already mentioned?
The difficulty is, one is, we will not know when they will be able to control the situation, because we are even still in the beginning phase. So it may extend for another 2 to 3 months. Last time, it was quickly able to control, and now, as Sadaf was telling, that it is more into rural areas. Already we have seen in villages deaths happening in very large numbers, 10 deaths, 5 deaths. So, and each of the Gram Panchayats have had their own containment measures. They are not allowing, although the permission is there from the government for microfinance people to move around, but there are village level restrictions like in Maharashtra. So mobility and implementing any one of them and physical contact will be a great challenge. Only virtual contact, telephone contact is possible, and for whatever reason, if they don't respond, we have no way to go and talk to them. These are the important challenges. And we will also have liquidity issues. Immediately, already in Karnataka, the repayment is somewhere between 40 and 50. Next month, it can go down. And suddenly, all the repayments of our loans to the lenders are due. So quickly we need to get these kind of relief. Using this framework too, we can write to the bank. But from the industry or from the RBI, if there is instruction to the banks, it will help.
Yeah, with from the bank side and also from the DFS side, the lending to the MFIs, that part actually we have already raised with RBI and we are pursuing, because that's something. And we also brought to the notice of RBI that last time only 40% of the institutions and 40% of the amount outstanding was able to get the benefit of moratorium from the lending institutions, including
Yeah.
banks and also the refinancing institutions. So that is something which is on the
Unless there is a specific instruction from RBI,
yes.
if they are allowed to do individual decision, even as large bank as SBI was the last one to.
The last one. That's why this time we requested for a specific instruction and circular on this aspect. So
Yeah.
let us see, we are still pursuing with them.
As a first instance, 6 months moratorium with the servicing of interest should be a starter. Even when, supposing if there is a improvement in our collection, we will not be interested in postponing our repayment, because we have to service interest also. So
Yeah.
there are instances where even though moratorium was given, advance repayment was made to the microfinance institution. They need not apprehend that if they allow us 6 months, we'll use all of it. But allowing 6 months will give us a mental relief, and so that we'll start coming to normalcy, and we'll start repaying earlier than extended the moratorium. That is possible. It has been done in the past. And otherwise, what happens? The banks also, again, they have to classify ours as NPA. They have to make. They will also be in difficulty. But their difficulty is not this. Their difficulty is not having instruction. What they'll say, their accountability always worried about it.
Yes.
When there are no instruction, why should we do? Or how should we do?
Yes. So now I invite Mr. S.S. Bhatt, CEO of FWWB. For Mr. Bhatt, his previous experience at Ananya, as well as he has seen through the Canara Bank for so many years. So Mr. Bhatt, your comments and your suggestions.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Satish, and thank other previous panelists for elaborately explaining on the reschedulement or scheme, the relief scheme of RBI 2.0. I think RBI has done a very prompt job in announcing the relief measures like they did in the last first instance. But when we see the difference of the first wave and the second wave, earlier there was a slogan that "Jaan hai to jahan hai." If you have life, then you have livelihood. But this time, but in the last wave, what we saw was it was the livelihood which was affected most. But in the second wave, what we are seeing is the life is affected more than the livelihood. Anyway, livelihood, when the life gets affected, definitely livelihood also gets affected. But if life is there, you can continue the livelihood later. But this time, I think in many of the places we see the death rates and the fatal rates are very high, which is affecting the even the existence of business itself. In that way, whether this reschedulement or restructuring would only a temporary phenomena, or there should be a long term some policy initiatives where these business have been affected, where the earning member of the family or earning the enterprise chief of the enterprise or the other person who is responsible for conducting the business is succumbed to COVID-19. What would be the way forward for them? What would be the guidance available to them? I think that also we need to discuss and bring it to the knowledge of Reserve Bank of India and other regulatory authorities. I think Reserve Bank of India has done a prudent job in the sense giving this facility, at least immediately you have. One thing what I would say is, as Mr. Sadaf was mentioning, that 30 days DPD is not very clear. As per my reading of the circular, I think it should be a standard asset as of 31st. I think maybe they may come out with some clarification FAQ in that way. But in the second circular, they have not put that 30 days DPD, but it's only standard asset as of 31st. It is advantageous to the clients and also
Lending.
the borrowing entities. I think that is one thing. Second thing is, now this time rural areas are also affected. Even the agricultural farmers or the agricultural laborers, depending on the farm enterprises, have been affected. In that way, also agriculture, direct agriculture, and some of the MFIs, what we see is, they have given, many of them have given crop loans. If they have classified it as crop loans, as per the, if they go by the strictly by the guidelines, they cannot either restructure or give the moratorium there. In that way, that also needs to be clarified from Reserve Bank of India. But Reserve Bank of India has clarified in their FAQ that the allied activities can be considered. But as per my experience, I have seen many of the MFIs giving directly to the farmers as crop loans also, the farm credit life of thing. If that is there strictly, that is not eligible. I think that, in my view, that also should be eligible for restructuring like the other one, because they, though they depend on this agriculture activity, but they depend on other sources of income also to repay. In that way, that also needs to be considered. I think we should take up that. The third thing is on the credit bureau reporting. See, okay, restructuring or moratorium or additional credit is given as a facility to alleviate this stress, temporary stress, or say maybe about 6 months stress. But it is not man-made stress. It is a natural calamity type of thing. At that point of time, recognizing it as a restructured asset at the credit bureau level would be a, disadvantage to the borrower or the client. In that way, RBI should take a view that this is a very special phenomena, and we need to see that this has to be recognized as a special event. For that purpose, the restructuring tag, though it has been restructured, the tag should not be given at the credit bureau level. Otherwise, it will hurt the credit score of the client then later, because it is not his fault. For that, it has been done. In that way, I think we need to take up that point also, to see that yes, the borrowers are not affected because of this restructuring tag at the credit bureau level in their credit score, or even for the entities also. Then on the written agreements, what Mr. Salimat was mentioning about the written agreements, getting the written agreements. I think the thing is the board policy has to be approved within 1 month, maybe about say June first week it has to be approved. Then for resolution, invocation of the resolution, you have 30th September. That is the invocation of resolution to receive the application and this one. And for documentation, implementing that 31st December. I think time is there. Suppose if you have to go for documentation and other things, maybe time is available, one thing. Second thing is now that even in the last event also, many of the banks have gone for electronic approval, maybe online approval through SMSs or this one, so that the borrower is notified that these are the restructured, or if some template could be suggested either from Sadhan or from some of the leading MFIs who are doing fantastic work on the technology front. They can definitely assist others also, that this could be online approval could be got from the members for making it as a record that it has been taken on record, and approval is received from the members, and it is a compliant, as it is complying as per the RBI regulations. I think at this point of time, I would like to stop at this, and if any further questions are there, definitely. But it's a good move from RBI to come out with this guideline, but one more thing, what I feel is the discretion is given to the lenders. As Mr. Salimat was mentioning, lenders may put some other additional caveats for the RBI policy in order to protect themselves, which brings a lot of hurdles at the borrowing entity level. Maybe MFIs to their clients may not put that, but to the MFIs from the banks or the larger NBFCs, they may put further credits, further riders on that, which would be difficult for them to avail this restructuring facility. I think that also we need to say either talk to the bankers or during the IBA forum, or even on the NBFC, MFIN or Sadhan forum, we should take up with the larger NBFCs or the banks to see that yes, the rules as given by RBI has to be made available to the other borrowing entities also. With that, I think the percolation of the guideline in the sense which has been made by RBI is percolated down to the even the other borrowing entity level also. Satish?
Thank you, Mr. Bhatt. Now the floor is open. If anyone would like to make any comment or suggestion, or any other remark, the floor is open.
My request, in addition to restructuring, banks and institutions have to continue to lend to the MFI, because if whatever money I get from collections, it has to go towards the bank loan repayment, correct? So where do I do the disbursement now? We should have funds to continuously disburse. So last time also TLTRO was not given to smaller and mid-sized MFIs. It's all gone in favor of bigger MFIs. But I'm happy they also have their own difficulties.
Hi sir, this is Ranjit Mishra, CRO Satya Micro Capital.
Yeah, please.
With respect to the restructuring for facility, this is a good move by the RBI and regulator. I just have a request, if Sadhan and MFIN can put some request in terms of having a organization level board approved deferment policy for kind of certain segment, or maybe this kind of catering this kind of eventuality. So it's not a consumer or probably borrower specific. So it's on a broad level. So deferment can be given. So this will not attract much of provisioning. Deferment can be given for 1 month, 2 months, based on the need of the organization, because giving a blanket some kind of facility will have a different impact, and giving a specific, like having cyclone in particular area and the impact of COVID in a particular area, it's a worldwide phenomena, but I'm just referring that. So if that could be discussion or agenda, that will really help going forward.
Hello. Satishji, Mr. Gigi Maman has a question, I think.
Yeah. Gigi
He has posted.
that, whether this resolution plan is applicable to loans given to smaller MFIs by banks and other NBFCs. But if you look from the wording of the circular, it doesn't look like that. First thing is the limit. The 25 crores limit is there on the loan. Plus, it also says about individuals and small businesses. So I think that restricts.
I think if the loan is classified as MSME, maybe that is maybe applicable.
So
yes,
in
it is.
the
But
circular
25 crores.
itself, there is one
25
clause that even other entities who are giving this facility, if they have borrowed from the larger bank, that facility is also available to them. Maybe that 25 crores may become as a restriction. But for
Yeah.
the 25 crores also, what they have said is, you need not see at the other lenders. Your lending decision you can take. That gives us a clear, suppose if a bank has got 25 crores exposure, and if that entity has got some other exposure from different bank, this bank can independently take a decision on the restructuring. That is also there in the circular.
I'm not too sure. I think there's a cumulative exposure of 25
Yeah,
crore.
it is cumulative.
And yeah, and also it has to be like, if it is less than 25 crores cumulatively, then it can come into that category of MSME, house or small businesses. But if it is there, then definitely it might not qualify. The other aspect in terms of inter-credit agreement, I think that is not required. So this is one good thing that has happened in this circular, that ICA or any sort of other 75%, 65% of the lenders to agree, that kind of requirement is not there.
Yeah, that's one plus point in this circular. Yes.
And that
I think,
further credit facility is
for the
also provided. No?
Banks and FIs lending to MFIs, I think that we'll have to get a separate clarification and dispensation from RBI, because many MFIs have limits beyond that.
More than
But
this.
it's still applied to.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Hello. Can I speak?
Yeah, please.
You see, I am Akbar, representing Kasafi in Kerala. The one point which validly has our Canara Bank, ex-Canara Bank friend has raised, and that is, now this scenario is that the customers are also highly demanding, and in the sense that they may have some specific points for relaxation, etc. Now, the first point is, there are two things which I would suggest. One, whether this circular, which has been issued by Reserve Bank, can be issued at the regional office levels of the respective regional offices, taking into the situation of that particular region. Say, for example, state, it should be a region where there are certain specific aspects to be covered, specific relaxations to be given, etc. So whether that could be considered. Now, number two, the point is that, still, if you say that we have to go by the RBI guidelines, etc., it is fine, and it is essential also to have some credit discipline. But at the same time, whether we will be able to give some leverage or some relaxation power to the, I would say, the microfinance MD level or somebody on specific cases requiring some, modifications, changes, etc. Whether that can be also incorporated in the circular, so that those accounts will not also go out of hand of the scheme. These are the two specific suggestions I would like to place on the forum for consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Akbar, we can take up with RBI, but whether, I'm not really sure whether they will allow each RO to each regional office of RBI to issue
Make a
separate
decision.
instructions. I am not sure about that.
They will not do it.
That's a different point. Now,
yeah,
the last one point is that, there is a proverb which we call it in our Kerala, where we say there are arecanut trees and coconut trees. one who climbs in the arecanut tree, which is a narrow, and where the unique the device used is something different. Whereas for a coconut tree, it is a highly widthy area. What happens is that there we have to have a different equipment to climb. Now, similarly, now if you categorize the accounts to the whole MSM, this one, I'm afraid whether the focus will go from assisting these smaller people, especially in the people in the microfinance sector. So it is imperative that there should be some guidelines with which specifies that MSME sector, whether if you can specify it is under microfinance, it is fine. And whether we can say that amount which is within the range of say 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, that would be more, I would say, useful for the ordinary microfinance beneficiaries anywhere. Thank you.
Well, we'll try to see from the suggestions which have come, we'll try to take up with RBI whether for MFI specifically, as you suggested, loans below 2 lakhs, whether it can have some sort of a more easier dispensation. Certainly, we can take up with RBI. Let us see how it.
Thank you.
Recently, Reserve Bank of India on 5th May, they permitted 10,000 crore to the small finance bank for on lending to the smaller MFIs within 500 crores outstanding, can be considered as a priority sector lending and all that. How many, there are 10 small finance banks are there in the country. Whether all of them are receiving the money or only few specific small finance banks are receiving. We want to know the details about these banks, whether they will be able to lend to MFIs, smaller MFIs. That details, if Sadhan can circulate, it will be of great help to us instead of approaching each time each bank. And RBI.
Yeah, Mr. Gadiappan, actually we have already circulated the list of all MFIs below 500 crores loan portfolio to all the SFBs and gave a short description of each of the MFIs also. So that we have already initiated action with the SFBs and gave all the contact details of the small MFIs to these banks.
In fact, today morning we tried to contact Jana Bank here in Bangalore. None of them were very sure what are the guidelines they received. They asked me to approach one of the branches in Bangalore. They are also not very clear.
No, that we are already, I think I will ask Shaibal to separately discuss with you because he is already in conversation with Jana SFB. So he will share the details with you.
Yeah, I will do it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Question from Mr. Sarath. He is asking how to calculate the 2-year limits if the borrower has already availed the framework 1.0. I think in both Sadaf as well as Govindarajan have explained, I think the remaining period. Sadaf, would you like to again clarify this?
Yeah, I think 2-year period. First of all, I think in the resolution if 1.0 has been given, then restructuring 2.0 eligibility would not be there in terms of kind of that. I think I have to get the clarity on that, to be honest. But in 2.0, it is very clear that total extension of tenure would be 2 years. So, for example, if the customer has balance tenure when you are restructuring of 6 months, and you want to give him another 6 months of moratorium, so the total tenure, say for example, September 2021, you are doing, it can go up to September 2023. So that is where the loan should end. That's the understanding that we have. Mr. Govindarajan can elaborate on 1.2.
If the loan is already there in the first resolution also, then first resolution, whatever period is now extended, that has to be reduced. Otherwise, we can now give, as you rightly said, 24 months. If in the first resolution already that same loan has been taken place, first resolution they have availed. Suppose let us say 6 months or 9 months. So that portion of the period has to be reduced from the 24 months, and balance period you can extend it. That's what the circular says.
Yeah, if they have taken 24 months in the first phase itself, they will not be eligible.
They will
in the
not be
second
eligible.
phase. Yeah.
They will not be eligible.
Hi, this is Krishna Chandran, representing KPB FinCare from Kerala. Request a bit more clarity here because what I understood from Sadaf was mentioning that the total tenure, including the original remaining tenure of the loan, should not be more than 2 years. That's what I understood from Sadaf's comment. When I read this, I thought that only the rescheduling part should be limited to this 2-year thing. Whatever is the original remaining schedule, that could be added to this 2 years. That is what I thought. Otherwise, how will we reschedule a loan which already has a tenure of remaining tenure of 2 years or more? That is the question I wanted a bit more clarity on. Thank you.
Also felt that no, we need not consider the, suppose it has already run for 6 months or something like that. The circular says clearly we can extend it for 24 months without considering those things. But if you have done a moratorium earlier, if he has availed a moratorium, or if he has restructured for, let us say, 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, those two can be added and reduced for 24. That's what I have read it. So I beg to slightly differ with you. We'll get it clarified, both of us.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is Padma Kumar. Our clarity on that, the whole restructuring period and its extended time period, there is a first one is a moratorium and there is a resolution framework 1. By moratorium 1, by moratorium, all loans got their period extended to the extent of the moratorium period, which is a 6 month. Okay. Now there is a subsequent restructuring scheme from RBI. In case someone had availed that restructuring option and given an additional extension on top of the earlier moratorium, then the total extension by invoking this the second resolution together with the first one should not be more than 24 months. In effect, what we are trying to say is that the original moratorium period is nowhere affect the current 24 months. That is completely different. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So the end period of all
moratorium, if you want to give,
it's not a moratorium.
like
now effectively,
moratorium, if you want to.
Yeah, but right
no,
now,
so for example, if you want to give a restructuring right now, sorry, if you're giving a restructuring a loan now and you want to give an additional 3 month or 6 month of cool off period where the customer does not pay anything, that including whatever the residual tenure can only be 2 years. It has nothing to do with previous moratorium.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the previous moratorium. So their end period as of today can go to extend to another 24 months. The last day of repayment. Yeah.
Correct.
Anyone else would like to come in? Otherwise, we will go for the closing remarks. So I would request each of our discussants and our lead presenter to take a couple of minutes each to make some closing remarks based on the entire discussions. We can first start with Mr. Bhatt.
Yeah, I think you have done a good job in arranging this because despite a lot of discussion, there would be some gaps in the implementation part. I think those areas have been identified and that Sadhan can take up and get the necessary clarification from Reserve Bank of India. so that they can come up with a FAQs on this 2.0 circular also. Second thing is about the further infusion of liquidity in the MFIs, especially the smaller MFIs. I think is the need of the hour that Sadhan is working out. And the thing of the special facility for SFBs, there I think the appetite of SFBs also should be there, because it may be like the TLTROs in the first instance, which the banks were given the smaller MFIs. There the banks did not avail much, only 25%, 30%. It should not happen with SFBs. We think we need to liaise with SFBs also to take the maximum use of this facility given by the Reserve Bank of India. If not 10,000 crores, at least 8,000-9,000 crores is availed by these FACs to percolate it down to the smaller MFIs. I think I will stop at that.
Mr. Salimat.
Yeah, it's a good exercise. Please go ahead based on the inputs that has been given, and please circulate what you want to put up with the Reserve Bank, and especially Govindra and Sadaf and anybody else who may have interest in that, and comprehensively one proposal shall go.
Mr. Sadaf.
Yeah, I think this was a good kind of a discussion, and thank you for arranging that. I think one specific thing I would want Sadhan to take up, I think our last interaction with the RBI governor, because before this fifth announcement, RBI had interacted with the SFBs and also MFIs, and Mr. Satish, myself, both were there in the interaction. Mr. Governor has said that if there are certain challenges at the local level, that must be brought to the knowledge of RBI. And I'm talking from the practitioner point of view. Since the lockdown has been implemented differently by the states, at some of the places, like I can give you an example, in Kerala, in Alleppey, the district collector has completely restricted any sort of collection. So whereas in rest of the state, alternative day branch opening is allowed for financial services, and in many of the state, if you look at the central circular or RBI regulation, the financial services are allowed to operate, which are regulated by RBI, but different states are interpreting it differently, and specifically, more importantly, the district level authorities are imposing certain specific restrictions. So maybe some sort of a circular or some sort of an information should come from RBI that should be implemented uniformly. So that will definitely help.
Okay, thank you.
And on the liquidity side, obviously, I think some of the valid points have been raised by I believe may need a larger liquidity infusion, because during the last operation did not get too much money. So we would appreciate larger kitty in TLTRO or SLTRO or any sort.
Yeah, thank you, Sudha. Now over to Mr. Govindarajan.
So thanks, Mr. Satish and your team for giving me an opportunity. And I would like to just 2-3 points. One is this, see, the next issue will be the rating agencies. So immediately, if there is 1 day delay, they may say it is a default company. So there has to be some guidelines by RBI for rating agencies also under difficult times. The second one is funding has to be continuously made available for MFIs and NBFCs so that they can continue to lend. Otherwise, how do they only go on recovering, nothing will happen. So unless we lend, we will not be able to recover. Third one is this interest rate, what RBI is fixing every quarter, that has come down drastically, almost by 500 basis points. Now, I don't get 500 basis point reduction from my banks. So the operating cost has gone up and margins have come down. It's really squeezing out the MFIs. So we request Sadhan and MFIN to take up with the RBI to reconsider this 2.7 times multiplier, which was done sometime by Amalgam Committee in 2014 or 15. It doesn't hold water now. So that is my request, sir. So,
yeah.
Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Govindarajan, for doing the lead presentation, and I would thank Mr. Sadaf Saeed, Mr. Salimat, and SS Bhatt for being the discussants and bringing their experience to this discussion, and also for all the suggestions. And we will consolidate and separately on separate issues we take up with RBI on some of these, and some we will have to take up at the government level also. I can assure you from the Southern side that we are seized of many of these things, and we will certainly try to elicit some quick action from the side of the regulators, and not only RBI, but we are also pursuing with SEBI and IRDA and all for the other parts of our work. And thank you once again for participation, and many were not able to get in because of the limit of 100. Because of that, this entire discussion is on the YouTube and Facebook. Those who have missed, you can please go there and have a look and look at the points which you have missed. Thank you one and all.